We got the news Saturday. Justin Jefferson's contract will not get done, and they will revisit after the season. Downplayed by Jefferson for the most part, but it's hard for me not to view this as an issue. It may not be verbalized as an issue, but I think it's going to lead to certainly some distractions or misinterpretations. There's already been misinterpretations.
Oh, there's lots of misinterpretation.
Jefferson,
he's a Bengal, baby.
He's being photoshopped with Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
exactly. He snapped at Cousins after
it's over. He's so mad.
On a third
you can
down.
tell by his answer in the locker room that said the exact opposite of that.
Well, only people who are very mad try as hard as possible to not be mad. So
and it does prove. Yeah. There's a lot of people. I think it was Kevin Seifert that tweeted out his quote that was man, I don't care anymore. We're in the season. Like, that's what he basically said. Like, there are football games. Who cares about
Seifert's
this now?
Initial tweet before he tweets out the actual quotes, I don't think Seifert understood the way it would come across, and I think accelerated things because it kind of said, because his initial tweet was,
it was very like he
said something like
adamant the whole time. He's like, I do not care. That is
it's whatever
thing.
And
I'm here to get endorsements. I'm doing sleep number ads and catching touchdowns. That's what I do. I'm Justin Jefferson.
Which is a totally fine approach specifically for Justin Jefferson to take because he has so much more leverage than any other player in the league right now because he is the most marketable player in the league. Like, period. It's like him and then Mahomes, right? And maybe I'm biased because I'm in Minnesota, but like his endorsement deals are crazy. He is super charismatic. He is everywhere. In fact, if you take a look at the NFL top 100 announcements, right? They've got an individual video for each player in the top 10 on YouTube. Jefferson clears in terms of view count. It's not close, right? Kids love him and they should. He rules. But like, he's got so much negotiating leverage that he is fine. Like, that is what I think that's the bigger reason as to why he and his agent didn't feel the need to have kind of a holdout versus TJ Hawkinson and Danielle Hunter. That plus everyone's forgetting there's another year left on his deal. There just is. And then on top of that, and then you can tag him. Exactly. In fact, you could tag him twice. Like the Vikings
would be justifiable. Yeah.
Right. Like that. He's one of the few players, and I guess Kirk Cousins is another one that you can tag multiple times and be comfortable with it in terms of the amount it costs you. Now, of course, tagging multiple times results in immediate cap hit versus the way deals are structured that gives you more flexibility. Fine. But Jefferson is going to get money. That's it. Like, and so he's fine on that front. The Vikings are fine in terms of the amount of control that they have. If I were another player or if I played for another team, right? If I'm playing for the Bengals, T. Higgins, and I know that they have a lot of difficulty with cash flow and they just exhausted all of that with Joe Burrow, I would be a little bit more concerned. But the Vikings don't have a cash flow problem. They can guarantee all of that money up front. It's fine. The Vikings, even though they seem really annoying to negotiate with, apparently obnoxious to negotiate with, do pay their stars. So I don't think that this is a huge problem for Jefferson. I don't think it's a cause for angst for Vikings fans. And I think, we can get all the way down to it and talk about Jefferson's team first attitude or whatever, right? That might play a pretty big role too. He cares a lot about winning, but I think it's easy for him to care about winning because he doesn't have to care about money because that money's going to come and he's got a ton of it in endorsements.
I would argue too that Vikings fans, I want to talk to people who are really like concerned about this. And I just ask if Justin Jefferson just signs an extension in March, will you be upset? Like, is there a reason that you would be upset about that? Maybe there is, because maybe the price has gone up and you feel like that. And
Justin Jefferson earned a more accurate accounting of his market value.
Right. Like maybe you're like, oh, they're approaching this moderately inefficiently. I think that would be a valid, if a little bit of a watered down critique. But the scenario where he ends up like getting traded to Buffalo is just your PTSD talking. Like, that's not real. And they can literally sit on this for like 3 more years and not do it before it actually becomes an issue.
Is the Jefferson trade to Buffalo in the room with us right now?
Exactly. the funny thing, and this is the narrative that we're gonna start hearing. I think it's really stupid, but I know we're gonna hear it. Is when they are negotiating this next time, because they said they'll circle back after the season. Well, after the season, Kirk won't be a quarterback, so then it's going to become, well, JJ doesn't want to sign if he doesn't know who the quarterback is. How does he not? He does, and he said he wanted to play with Cousins all that time. They let Cousins go, and they got Justin Jefferson traded. You're going to hear that take.
Oh,
and it's going to be bad.
And Jefferson basically said, what was it, like a couple of days ago or something like that? That like, yeah, I don't know if Cousins is going to be here the whole time. Meh.
He's like, I want it, I like him, but I can't control it. And that's,
I can't control
I think
it.
when players
and
say,
the background
I
of that is that
control
he's 35, right? Like, I think Jefferson is aware of that.
There is a deeply Midwestern thing going on that when you hear someone say, you can't control that, that's usually them like lamenting that thing. And I think that's kind of like a very like, well, can't control the weather kind of deal. But when a player says, well, I can't control that, they literally are just saying like, well, yeah, I would like it, but hey, that's not up to me. Like, right. That's not my job. I don't want to speak for the person whose job that is. Like, they're just trying to like be political.
A lot of these phrases need to be like in football adjusted terms.
Yeah.
Control what you can control is a football maxim. It's like a top 3 football saying in terms of the attitude that you need to take towards football, especially in the NFL, where the NFL is a business. It's such a business. Like, yeah, you can't control what you can't control. And
it's not like when your aunt says, well, I wish you didn't marry her, but I can't control that. Like it's a different sentence.
Yeah, that's a whole different sentence.
Is your guys' hunch on this that the Vikings are offering market value?
No.
And Justin Jefferson's camp, because of the historic nature of his accomplishments, want something even more prestigious.
Is to be believed, it was the Vikings that were the final ones to turn down an offer. That the ball was in their court, and they were the ones that said, let's circle back at the end.
My hunch, and this is entirely based off of like tea leaf reading. This has nothing to do with like sources or anything like that. My hunch is that the Jefferson team is probably asking for slightly above market value, but is more likely asking for inflexibility in terms of guarantees and stuff like that. My guess is that the Vikings are asking below market value, but not like dramatically below market value and not slightly below market value either, in order to lock in the benefits of getting a receiver deal done early. That's one of the only reasons that you negotiate a deal early, is to get below market value for when that receiver eventually hits the market. So yeah, I think that's what the Vikings are offering. And I think that there is something to be said about the Bosa deal, kind of complicating things, but there's also something to be said about the fact that we haven't had enormous wide receiver deals in 2022 or 2023. And so it's like Tyreek Hill 2021, I want to say. And so was it 2022?
I thought so, but I'm not going to Google it.
Yeah, I'm done with this conversation basically after these sentences. So, but it's having another deal to leapfrog off of that allows both sides to have an anchor point in the negotiations, because they kind of don't have one. And so my hunch is that the Vikings offered somewhat below market value. My hunch is that the Jefferson's team offered not just above market value, but an inflexible guarantee structure. And both sides are like, yeah, okay, I guess, whatever. See you in March.
I'm also another Florio thing on that. And decide how reliable that narrator is for yourself. But he posited that it's about the guarantee structure, and that the Vikings. So if you look at like TJ Hawkinson's contract, he has some guarantees that are like rolling guarantees that haven't vested yet, and they vest the year that they would be paid out, rather than the old Spielman move, which would vest the year before they get paid out, making them functionally fully guaranteed, because you're not going to cut that player that early into the contract, and
take on the dead hit of the guarantee from that year as well. Yeah,
exactly right. So they would have to take on like it makes those dollars just very much functionally guaranteed, and it just changes like the way the cash flow is paid out, and there's like tax reasons to do it you don't have to care about. But with Hawkinson's contract, they vest like 3 days into the league year of that year, like of 2026, the 2026 guarantees vest. So they could theoretically cut him without him getting that money. So it's not as functionally guaranteed. And the theory is, if there is, that Jefferson might have a problem with that and might want the other structure of rolling guarantees that are functionally guaranteed, but just like cash flow is slightly different for the organization's finances.
It says here that Hawkinson's 2025 salary, which is currently guaranteed for injury, fully vests to a full guarantee in 2024.
Oh, does it? What about the other one? Maybe I was just looking at the other one.
2026.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one that one does vest in 2026.
Okay. So it's 1 and 1.
Yeah.
So if they're doing something similar there, he might have an issue. That might be like the
Yeah.
sticking point here.
Yeah. Cool. But yeah, if I were Jefferson, I would take functional guarantees over a true rolling guarantee, which is the one that you just described. But yeah, a functional guarantee through a rolling guarantee system that changes the cash flow for whatever reason. That
like doesn't
fine.
mean anything to the player, really.
Yeah. And you get your money a little bit later, and there's a time value of money aspect to it. But unless you're very serious about investing, or you've got like a very aggressive money manager, it really doesn't matter. Especially, again, when Jefferson has so many non-salary forms of income coming in.
Yeah.
And he might even be immune.
It makes plenty of sense for both sides to wait, because they've got a lot. Like, there's no reason to rush.
Yeah.
Outside of being worried that like Jamar Chase will sign a big deal and now that's going to make the price go up or whatever.
I was going to say, like, maybe those two buddies are texting and have a plan as to how they can take advantage together of this situation. Also, Jefferson is probably like 99% of injuries could occur to him, and he would probably still get paid a market setting rate. Like, I don't think there's a lot of injuries that are going to take that off the table. Well, maybe certainly a little bit, but I think that he's done enough, and we've seen players come back from enough injuries that I don't think he would lose it all if he got hurt this year.
And it depends on the injury, obviously.
Yeah. 99% of injuries I think he comes back from, makes the money. There's always the occasional 1%.